Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 08 February 2017. The first article is Uneasy Lies the Head. This article is about Tamil Nadu politics and what are the things happening in the post-Jayalalitha scenario we need to talk about. We will not be getting into the politics of the day, but we will be seeing the underlying factors, how the political parties are behaving, and what are the reasons for this culture in Tamil Nadu. So, cult leadership, charismatic leadership, and populism, these are the things that will explain the political situation in Tamil Nadu. Either it is M.G. Ramachandran or Jayalalitha, or in the case of Karunanidhi, a kind of centralization of the power in a person is clearly visible. So, in a well-educated state, why such a thing is happening? So, political economy has the right explanation for this. That is, the welfare programs which are being devised by the government, they have to reach to the masses. If the power is dispersed and if there is a local leadership, these welfare programs are being siphoned away from the people. So it means the dispersion of the power is also leading to the diversion of the welfare benefits. So people, they look for a centralized leader who can control these deviations which are happening within the district level or at the local level. And the second thing is, a centralized leadership is seen as a strong leadership, and a dispersion of the power is more seen as a weakness of the leadership. And caste is an important factor in the politics of Tamil Nadu. In this case, multiple castes and caste-based parties are very much dominant there. So, a strong leadership alone can unite all the castes under the Dravid parties. So that's why this personality cult, centralized leadership is existing in Tamil Nadu. Now, what is a leadership or who is a leader? A leader shall be able to see all around the situation, can observe the change happening, and he tried to take or he will be taking the people from one situation to other situation. So in this context, he will set himself as an example. So he will be proactive and he will be guiding the people. So in this case of Sesikala, when Jallikattu movement is happening, such a leadership qualities are not being demonstrated, and she is more seen as a manipulator in Tamil politics as she tried to influence the power center from behind. So, in any case, she is more seen as an extra constitutional authority who tried to deviate the welfare benefits away from the masses. That is the reason why there is a general repulsion towards her in Tamil Nadu. That's how the article indirectly conveys the message. Now coming to the NEET, the National Eligibility Entrance Test. What is it? It is meant to provide common entrance test to all medical graduates at undergraduate and postgraduate level. As of now, they have to face multiplicity of exams. This is expected to decrease the burden. But what are the challenges to it? Now, most of the states do not have a common syllabus. So in this case, who or what syllabus has to be followed is not been clear. And many states do not follow the CBSE syllabus. And the second is, the reservation policies across the states vary. Certain castes which are being observed as reserved categories, they do not come under the same in the other states. And all of them has to follow the reservation policy or reservation which is taken up by the center. And the third thing, the country is not uniform. We are linguistically, economically, and socially diverse. So urban elite, well educated, they may get a benefit under the NEET over and above the rural people. This is another apprehension. But however, NEET has its own advantages. It is a transparent system and it brings in multiple entrance tests under one umbrella, and it promotes the uniformity and meritorious selection of the people. And Vyapam-like scams can be reduced if the NEET comes into existence. So the status quo situation has to be altered. So in this case, the Tamil Nadu has passed a law which excludes itself from the purview of the NEET. So here we need to understand. Already Medical Council Act is there at the center, and then the NEET ordinance is passed by the center. There is a Supreme Court judgment. Then how come a state legislature violate the Supreme Court judgment? The Supreme Court already has clarified in the case of Satluj Yamuna Link Canal case that the state legislature through its law cannot override the judgment of the Supreme Court. Any such a thing happens, the bill needs to be reserved by the governor for the consideration of the President of India. So, the bill obviously will be going to the President. Even if the NEET is been replaced with a local exam, the transparency, accountability, and ensuring of the regular exam is essential. And then, into the perspective page, the pride as well as prejudice. This article is about 371A. Now let's understand the Naga problem a bit. In 1960, there was an agreement between central government and Naga National Council. So in this agreement, there are certain guarantees which are being provided for the Nagas, through which Nagas will be integrating with the main, or else they will be working under the constitutional framework of India. And finally, based on this, in 1963, 371A article was introduced into the constitution. It provides for protection to the Nagas, and certain aspects of the Nagas' life and culture, they will not come under the purview of our parliamentary laws. So, the issues which do not come under parliamentary laws are religious and social practices of Naga, their customary laws and procedures, and civil and criminal justice, and finally, transfer of land and ownership of the resources. So these things do not come under the parliamentary laws. You might have remembered that in my previous classes in 2016 we have discussed the central government want the Nagas to nullify their particular the oil and natural gas resolution. So then Nagas have resented that. These are the resources of the Nagas. The center cannot interfere with the Nagas or Naga assembly resolution which provides the rights on the use of the natural resources by them. So the center's advice is been more seen as an interference. Now in this case, a clause we need to remember. So the parliamentary laws cannot override these four things. But this do not apply to the constitution, because the Nagas have to function under the Indian constitution. So the part 9A, these are the constitutional parts. So when you talk about the panchayats, the Nagaland is excluded from the panchayat, part 9 of the constitution. But that do not exist in the case of part 9A. So if you take 243 Judge C, it excludes only the scheduled areas but not Nagaland. Scheduled areas and Darjeeling Hill Council is excluded but not Nagas. So it means that urban local bodies have to be constituted and elections have to be held. So in this case, 1/3 of the seats need to be reserved for women. So as 1/3 of the seats it means that women empowerment is going to be ensured, but the problem is, Naga is, as like other Indian society, is a patriarchal society, and it do not want to give the space for the women in the political life of the Nagas. So, if you take the timeline, as this particular municipal elections are getting postponed, and the matter went before the High Court, and High Court gave order to conduct the municipal elections. And then the government has challenged that in the divisional bench, and the matter went to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has upheld the very first judgment to conduct the elections. So as of now, the Supreme Court judgment states that elections need to be conducted as per the constitutional provisions. Based on this, the Municipal Laws 3rd Amendment Bill was passed by the Naga Legislative Assembly, which has 1/3 reservations for the women. Now, the Naga tribes, they started agitating the same, And the government of the day, it wants to ask to the Prime Minister and the central government that Nagaland also shall be excluded from implementing the Part 9A of the Constitution. Here we have to see the issues of gender equality, women empowerment, and the constitutional provisions of Article 371A and Part 9A of the Constitution coming in conflict with each other. So obviously the change is must, and any society has to go and adopt the change. Equality cannot be undermined, stating the cultural values, traditions, and customs. So in this case, we can clearly state that the very agreement puts Nagas under the purview of the constitution, and the way forward is to provide for the reservations to the women in the case of panchayats. Looking towards Africa, when you take this article, Africa as a way forward. Now, Africa has the youngest population and largest growing economy. But however, violence, lack of orderliness, and lawlessness, these are the challenges. So, prevention of conflict and the development are the way forward for the Africa, which is a mineral-rich region of the world, according to the UN Secretary General. And coming the notes. So uneasy lies ahead. I gave my opinions about leadership and why the populism, centralization, and the personality cult are high in Tamil Nadu. It is not the case in Tamil Nadu. In most of the states, this is what is the scenario. And the NEET challenges we have discussed. The highlight of the article is Nagas. Last year I told to you, the Nagas 371A will come into the question because every year one question from the northeast is been asked. So Manipur inner line permit or Nagas 371A, this can be a question. Or I discussed 371D can be a question. So last year 371A with regard to the Naga natural resources, mines and mineral exploration law. So how it is conflicting with 371A, from that perspective, a question has come into existence. So thank you very much and all the best.